This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
That's funny, by the way. Brooklyn Rob says it's Tua's fault Stellar never took off. Rob, Stellar gave away too many coins early on, and the people inside Stellar, they left. The company kept too much inside, and they've been selling off, and that's been the problem. That's kept the price down. It's going to take them a while to climb out, but they will. They will. It'll be a slow one. All right, let's go to basketball, who also has a big crypto sponsor as it is, because they do play at FTX Arena. So, Ira, have you delved into crypto a little bit now that you're walking into an arena that leads with crypto, the biggest, or the most, at least the biggest, well, second biggest arena in the NBA, already switched over to crypto.com. So what's the word? Does Ira Winderman have any crypto education?
Yeah, I'm still dealing with trying to get through my penny stocks like a Wolf of Wall Street. I apparently these companies never actually existed, so I'm still in recovery mode, still rolling quarters to make ends meet. So I'm going to lay back a little. Maybe I'll be in one of the lucky sections. The one thing I do find amazing is how much crypto is being given away. As you know, it's almost like these betting websites, $100 free or whatever to sort of sign up. So certainly there seems to be no better time to get involved, literally when free money is being put in front of the table.
Yeah, no, and sometimes they'll give you free stocks too. Like when I remember when I opened up my Webull account, they gave me 4 free stocks. You know what I mean? I sold them and bought crypto for it. I bought Bitcoin with the stocks actually, because it was like I think a total like of $50 or something. I said, you know what, I'm going to move it over to Bitcoin, and it's already up actually from when I got that Bitcoin, because I think it was like at 38 or 39 or something. So it's already up as it is. So in Webull, I have a little bit of Bitcoin. I don't actually have any stock there, but it's just funny. Anyway, let's speaking of cryptic things going on in the NBA, two-way contracts. What's the talk? Is there any chance that Caleb and the NBA, because of COVID, these things are going to get altered? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it all got taken care of, as we spoke about last week, and I wrote at the Sun Sentinel and sunsentinel.com about. They simply realized if you're forced to bring in outside players, why not be allowed to play your players' maximum games? So there was a 50-game limit on the active roster for Caleb Martin and Marcus Garrett. That is gone. Caleb Martin, once he comes out of protocol, which won't be tonight against Indiana, can play as many regular season games as he wants. Now, he won't be playoff eligible in his two-way contract. So the Heat will have to make a decision whether it's Caleb, whether it's a player added to the 15th roster spot, whether UD steps aside for the playoffs to allow 2 players. So there are some decisions to be made there. Basically, to be playoff eligible, you have to be on the active roster the final day of the regular season. Here's what's going to happen. Caleb Martin, the final day of the regular season, will be converted to a standard contract that will maximize his two-way time, allow the Heat to bring in another player, and still have Caleb around for when the playoffs begin. So that's out of the way. The second thing that happens is if the Heat do get players in protocol, or if Caleb stays in protocol, they can bring in emergency 10-day contract players who do not count against the roster limit, against the luxury tax, or against the salary cap. We saw it yesterday, Philadelphia. Our old friend Tyler Johnson was brought back by the 76ers on such a contract. I actually talked yesterday to Stanley Remy. He's a local basketball trainer down here. He's worked out a ton of players. And I asked him, who's working out down here? If the Heat need a player on a last-minute notice, who do you have? He ran through a list of some of his players. Most are obscure, but that's going to be the thing, Big O. You're testing on game days. So you will know on a game day if a player's not available. Now, how do you get a player to your team within that short time frame? And again, with the Heat, this is the thing about having your G League team in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. If you look at Cleveland, for example, their G League team is named Cleveland. They play in Cleveland. The Brooklyn Nets have to go out to Long Island, the Knicks to Westchester, the 76ers to Delaware. So that's where it gets a little dicey for the Heat. Can you get someone from Sioux Falls to your arena in time to start? But you know what? Hockey is
Mickey's
shut
playing,
down.
baby. Mickey's playing. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, whether
You
they say
find out by shoot around, you can send the plane to Sioux Falls and back by
it's
game.
still probably about a 6-hour turnaround there, but maybe doable. So you're going to see a lot of interesting names blast from the past. I mean, even like I know Michael Beasley's been pushing to come back, but he still faces a 5-game marijuana suspension when he signs his next NBA contract. Typical Bees. So he now has a chance to come back into the league, and the first thing he will do when he comes back is be suspended. So he can't be on your list. Mario Chalmers has a chance. He's playing in the G League Showcase right now. He could wind up being signed. The one name I'm really curious about.
Interesting how you back-to-back talked about Cheech and Chong. That's just awesome.
Well,
I love that.
I'm going to throw a better name at you, Big O. And this is actually, you have this answer. Dion Waiters. The last time we saw Dion Waiters, he was winning an NBA championship with the Los Angeles Lakers in 2020. And yet I posited this question to you.
Wait a minute. Somebody I know saw him 2 days ago, and he's a fat boy.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. And I talked to Andy Ellisberg, not about Dion in particular, but in general for a story I posted at Sun Sentinel. He says, you've also got to find out if these former NBA players are still in shape. I asked him, why are so many G League guys being called up? And he said, because we know they were playing. They played yesterday. They played today. They're in basketball shape. Some of these other guys, yeah, it might be intriguing to say, hey, what about this guy who's not in the league anymore? But you know what? If you need them to play now, you have to get someone who's ready now. The NBA is going to put anyone and anything on the court to push through this season. The last 2 years, almost 3 years, they keep delaying their season. You remember, Big O, when the Heat were in the finals, October 2020. Last year, we were bumping up against August to end the season. They want to eventually be back to normalcy, which means ending in June, summer league, draft, everything else taken care of in July, and then you give the players the normal offseason. So you are going to see some names, literally, you will not know the names without a scorecard, and that even could be true for the Miami Heat, unfortunately, at some point.
All right. The other thing I was going to ask you, and again, this comes from pure ignorance. I'm just spitting in the wind here. All right, so KZ has shown us a little some lately, but let's just say it's only an aberration. He goes back to being the KZ where we have all known to love and be baffled with for the rest of the year. Now, you said something very interesting. Caleb's contract will be turned into a full-time on the last day of the year, and then he becomes eligible for the playoffs.
Correct.
Okay, this is pure ignorance now. If KZ's contract's a 3-year contract at the end of the year, the regular season, can you literally cut him and open up a roster spot for the playoffs?
Absolutely.
Or his contract runs through the playoffs?
You absolutely can. So you can very well make an argument, the Big O, that KZ's on a 3-month tryout right now. The benefit of keeping him is you keep his bird rights. You can re-sign him above the salary cap. He knows the system and all of that. So you're absolutely right. You know, Big O, it's interesting. So many people have asked me, how are the Heat going to augment this roster? What are they going to do to get better? We haven't seen them whole almost the entire season. And I would put forward to you, if I can get a healthy Markieff Morris back, I'm happy with my power rotation of Udonis Haslem, PJ Tucker, Dwayne Dedmon, and Markieff Morris. I think you're good in your power rotation. Then people have asked, and you and I have gone 2 years on 19 different stations on this, why do they do it point guard? Well, you know what, Big O? They have Kyle Lowry. Gabe Vincent is proven to be the real deal. God bless him and his development work. And if you add Victor Oladipo, you're as deep as you've ever been at point guard.
Actually,
so
I
I'm
didn't
not
think
so
about
sure
that.
this team needs to add anything else. I think this team needs to get healthy. When this team is whole, matter of fact, I'm going to put a question to you before you put one to me, okay? If you're starting the routine Heat starting lineup we've come to expect of Bam Adebayo, PJ Tucker, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy Butler, and Kyle Lowry, and your first 3 reserves probably off the bench because of positional needs, okay, Big O, are going to be Dwayne Dedmon, Tyler Hero, and Markieff Morris in some order. That takes you 8 deep. You're not going to play more than 9 deep. Which one of these 2 players would you put as your 9th man? Gabe Vincent or Max Strus?
Wow, that's difficult.
Jeopardy music here. We'll give you some time to think.
That's difficult because if I need to defend a slightly taller player, I'm going to go Strus.
Okay.
If I need to defend a smaller player on the perimeter, then I'm going to go Caleb. right? Or you said, or Vincent, you said Vincent, right?
Gabe Vincent, right. So I'm not
Vincent.
even having him and
I'm
Martin
gonna go
in there.
Vince.
And
Yeah.
and here's the deal, Big O, to take it a step further. I gave you the Heat top 3 reserves in that listing of Dwayne Dedmon, Tyler Hero, Markieff Morris. If Victor Oladipo comes back, you've got 9 guys. So all of a sudden, contributors, Caleb Martin, Max Strus, and Gabe Vincent would be on the outside looking in. So I think you and me, look, nobody loves a trade. And we know no one is going to get you to smash the like button more or give you more hits on the podcast than anything than talking about trades. But I say to you, if this Heat is fully healthy, like I just gave you that roster, and those extra guys, who out there is going to be a better 12th man than Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin, or Max Strus?
Nobody.
No one. So you don't have to worry about KZ Okpala. You don't have to worry about Omer Yurtseven. You don't have to worry about Udonis Haslem.
Let me give you something to think about, okay? Okay. So you are correct in theory that if you get back Depot and you have Vincent to back up Lowry. But if you're the Heat front office and you want to think ahead and think of what if, first of all, I love what I've seen from Gabe Vincent. So do you. So does the Heat Nation. But he's still untested. He's never been in the playoffs. We don't know how he's going to react. So there's still that unknown there and that factor. The other one is Depot. Depot can't stay healthy. Right. Unfortunately, that's been the thing. So if you're the Heat, does it behoove you to say, you know what? We still need to make a point guard move for either UD or KZ spot, just in case Depot can't hold up and the moment is too big for Vincent. If we can find that veteran backup point guard that can help us and sit there and help us and wait, just in case foul trouble, they break down, whatever it is, maybe we should make that move. What do you think about that, Ira?
I'll throw you probably the 3 most likely possibilities, okay? One is one who's been out there all season in Jeff Teague, Jeff Teague, who would set up probably as their 4th string point guard. The other one is, Tom Thibodeau's in a tough spot. He doesn't play the guy. When the guy plays, he plays well, but Thibodeau clearly doesn't like his defense. Kemba Walker. Would a Kemba Walker play ahead of a 2-way defensive and offensive player like Gabe Vincent? So you have that as another possible name out there.
And he has a bum knee, by the way.
Right. So you and older. How many 30-somethings can we collect? And the other name,
because you follow the league, he's a guy that needs rest at times.
Yes.
He struggles with back-to-backs.
But playoffs won't have back-to-backs. And he's had very good playoff moments. You remember him in Charlotte against the Heat in those series against Whiteside where he's looked good. So that's another name. Another name is Dennis Schroeder. The Celtics believe they can't re-sign him at his price. I don't want a guy who's going to come in and be hunting for statistics because he's playing more for his next contract than he is for his current team. So it's interesting. You have a very good point, Big O, that maybe you want someone more reliable. What I'm telling you is we both know Eric Spoelstra. He trusts the known thing. He trusts someone who's in the system. He trusts someone who's in the culture and who's going to buy in. He knows Gabe Vincent buys in. He's not so sure bringing someone else does also. Pat Riley has to think about it. What I am saying is when this Heat roster is whole, and you and I were starting at the beginning of the year, and you're going, Ira, Gabe Vincent, he was good with the Nigeria national team, but he's not a player. Max Strus is a former 2-way player we don't know. Even Omer Yurtseven with the 12 rebounds on Sunday.
Getting better.
In that game, he can at least give you serviceable emergency 7-foot minutes if you need them. So, to me, the end of the roster questions won't be any of that. It'll be, could you possibly say to Udonis Haslem, look, you're still going to be with us. You're just not going to be playoff eligible. I don't think so. I think that's a non-starter based on culture, but I'm bringing that up. Same thing with KZ Okpala. He's going to be a free agent in the offseason. If you have no intention of bringing him back, then you might as well bring in someone for the moment to play on that roster spot. But I think when it comes to point guard and Victor Oladipo, trust or not, that's an offseason question. I think what you do is you say, we're going to trust Vic in the playoffs because we have to find out. And then if he gets injured or can't play and has issues, you can go, okay, we brought it back on the minimum. We kept his bird rights. We took a chance. And now we move on. The penalty there is the trade they made with the Rockets to get Vic. They agreed to swap draft positions with the worst of the picks of Houston, which we know will be in the lottery, and Brooklyn. So the Heat probably will have wound up trading what would be, say, the 21st pick in June for Brooklyn, which will be the 28th pick. You know what? Jumping back 7 spots and taking a flyer, I have no issue with that.
No, no, definitely not. I'm with you there. All right, Ira. So let's get into this. We're
Okay.
31 games into the season. So what is that? About 3% of the season or whatever
Yeah,
has gone
almost
by.
between a third and a half. Yeah.
Yeah. So at what point do I start to say I'm concerned that Duncan Robinson is not living up to that contract and not, because 10, 15 games in, oh, he'll find his groove, his groove. He'll be Stella. He'll find his groove at one point. But we're 31 games in, my man. And, it's there are moments where I'm going, okay, I can count on Gabe Vincent more than I can count on
Or Max
Duncan
Strus.
Robinson
Yeah.
or Max Strus. They're showing me more moxie than Duncan Robinson. Is Duncan Robinson the Ryan Tannehill of basketball, that he needs everything in place in order for it to work?
Yes. You finally an hour into the show hit something on the head. Yes, Big O. Duncan Robinson is a system player, and the Heat's thought when they signed him was, we have our system. And Duncan Robinson will play as an outlier as far as being out by the three-point line and make Jimmy Butler better and Bam Adebayo better. But you need those other players on the floor. So it's hard to judge Duncan Robinson without those players because he creates the gravity to make it work. You always have a question, how much do you play a complementary player? How much do you play a nickelback or a dime back? Or how much do you pay, a third down running back who's a specialist? Well, we know in football specialists are important. You have to have those guys. Duncan's a highly paid specialist. So until everyone is healthy for a longer term than what we've seen, again, I think the Heat's projected starting five this season has only appeared in 14 of the 31 games. Not a lot of sample size. But, to answer your greater concern, which I understand, I would say this. When you go to FTX Arena or you get a wide enough view on your TV, when opponents stop paying maximum attention to Duncan Robinson, that's when I'm concerned. When they stop putting an elite defender on him. When I say to myself, wow, Duncan's open in the corner and no one gives a damn, that's when I'm worried. But as long as he's still occupying a lead defender, so Jimmy or Kyle can operate against someone else, he's still meeting his mandate of
Yeah, but there's no Jimmy
defender.
right now. There's no Jimmy right now. There's no Bam right now. Ira, they paid him $95 million
to play with those guys.
My brother,
if I play with those guys.
Yeah, I get it. But if I paid you $95 million, I expect to have a little son of a bitch in you.
Yeah,
and I don't see, like, I look at Gabe Vincent and there's a son of a bitch in him. I look at Caleb Martin and there's a son of a bitch in him. I look at Max Strus, there's a little son of a bitch in him. I don't see any. Duncan Robinson looks like Mr. Nice Guy.
You can say son of a bitch. You can say son of a bitch. I'm going to say creator. Great. Gabe Vincent is a more creative scorer than Duncan Robinson. I agree. Max Strus is a more creative, versatile scorer than Duncan Robinson. I agree. Neither of them has shown over an extended period of time they are the lights-out three-point shooter who set the league ablaze through the previous two seasons. So when you signed Duncan Robinson, you said you signed him just for the same reason the Nets signed Joe Harris, for the same reason the Wizards signed Davis Bertans, is you want the elite of the elite. I agree. I think he's like 60th in three-point percentage right now. But when you signed him, it was to play with Butler. It was to play with Bam. And you know what, Big O? I'm going to take this a little bit further. If you don't have Butler and you don't have Bam, you're not going anywhere anyway. Whether Duncan is shooting 48% on threes or 28% on threes. So they signed him knowing Bam is under contract for 5 more years. Jimmy is under contract for 5 more years. Duncan is under contract for 5 more years. So they signed him as part of being a threesome there going forward. Well, he hasn't been able to be his menage a trois. He's been out there alone. And I guess to use the parlance to that whole phrasing, and he isn't getting any.
I just, I'd like to just see a little more Dale Ellis in him. You know what I'm saying?
Not who he is. You can't make someone be who they aren't. You can't take an NFL wideout and saying he should go over the middle a little bit more when you know he doesn't want to take the contact and is going to have alligator arms. Duncan Robinson is what he is, a player who makes Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler better, but has to have Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo alongside.
Well, they really need somebody else to step up big time. All right, PJ Tucker, the knee. What kind of concerns? Yeah. What's the deal?
I'm concerned when you're 36 years old and you get any injury because I know what it's like to be an older person with a sporting injury. So, yeah, Exactly. I'm really concerned. We need to get a sports medicine sponsor on the show as soon as possible. It'll work out for the content and for the advertising also. I'll talk to the medical staff about that. But yeah, I am concerned about PJ. He was not walking around very well. He's not wearing a brace or anything. But you know what? You have to, at 36 years old, err on the side of caution. And Big O, here's the concern. If he went out and Markieff Morris was playable, which we don't know when with the whiplash, I'd be okay with that. Tonight at American Airlines, at FTX Arena, there is one available power forward, KZ Okpala. So you're almost starting a guy because you have another choice. If Jimmy Butler is back, I could see Jimmy against Miles Turner or even Domantas Sabonis playing him at the 4 and keeping Gabe Vincent in the starting lineup, in that alignment and going that way. But you can't. You have one other power rotation guy. You're sort of a critical mass here. You simply don't have enough available bodies. So I'll be curious to see how it plays out. But yeah, I think KZ Okpala will start because I don't think you have many other choices. You need PJ Tucker. You and I never would have said this in August. We never would have said it in early October. He has made himself from complimentary to essential.
Oh, yeah. No doubt, dude. Again, the word I just used, you want a son of a bitch? There you go, bro.
He's a dog. He's a dog with a W. Yeah.
I love that guy, man. I love watching PJ Tucker play. You need an enforcer. You need a guy that just brings a level of toughness, to a sport that lacks toughness nowadays.
Yes, you know
what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he definitely brings it. All right, Ira. What else are you working on the Sun Sentinel? So listeners can check you out, my friend.
I just posted that story I spoke to you about. I spoke to Andy Ellisberg about who you're going to bring in as emergency replacements. It's almost like there's the shadow heat out there. When they have a board in Pat Riley's thing called X, Y, and Z in case we lose players. So I'm working on that. Obviously, the injury updates throughout the day. The key now is, look, if you lose PJ Tucker, you damn well better have Tyler Hero back. And I think he will be back. And you're probably going to have to generate more points than the 90 that you did in Detroit on Sunday. Tyler can do that for you. Again, they erred on the side of caution. Tyler was questionable until an hour before Sunday's tip-off. They took the L in Detroit because they looked at the long view. If I have Tyler Hero and Kyle Lowry out there, I figure you probably will have enough at home to compete against the Pacers. So it'll make for an interesting Pallet Rock City inside the paint at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Because if you are coming off losses to Detroit and Indiana, then sort of the concern flag goes up. If you come back home and make the most of a 4-game homestand, your longest to this point, you can sort of settle a lot of that. And then you say to yourself, you know what? Bam's only 2 or 3 weeks away. We made it through the night and kept our point of view.
Beautiful thing. Follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat. And, of course, subscribe there to the South Florida Sun Sentinel and support Ira and all the great writers there. Ira, we will see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. for the Pallet Rock City Inside the Paint show, my friend. Thank you.
Someone wake up Clay. Thank you, Big O.
You got it. We'll try. All right. That's Ira Winderman and our Acura Pembroke Pines, Miami Heat, and NBA report.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.